Joining me here at the big table now is Patrick Sensburg. He's a member of the German parliament with the Conservative Party, the CDU. He's also a member of the Intelligence Oversight Committee. He's also a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves and president of the German Armed Forces Reserve Association. Mr. Sensburg, it's good to have you back on the day. I have to say, you were never a supporter of ending compulsory military service, were you?
That's true. In 2011, when we stopped the compulsory military service, I said it's not the time for that. We said we're in a peace period. We call it, we don't have these block thinking anymore about West or East, and so we are surrounded by friends, so we're going to end it. And I said it's just too short to look in the next 2, 3, 5 years. You can't build up such structures in 10, 20 years. So when we stop, we have to think we can't rebuild it very quick. So I said, it's not the decision we should make 2011. We should look in the future, 20, 30 years, and then we wouldn't have made that, I think.
Do you see a connection between having a volunteer army and what appears to be a rise in far-right extremism within the ranks?
There is a connection. We always had the model of citizen in uniform, we call it. So everybody had to go to the army, even men who didn't want, who are very critic. And so they brought lots of ideas. They brought an outside view in the army. So I think this is one element which was very good in the army and which made other people have a close insight to the troops. And we lost that possibility right now.
But do you think, is there a cause-effect relationship here? Having a volunteer army means making the army a breeding ground for extremism.
I think it's not like this. The issue is that if we have a citizen in uniform, we have lots of people who have got a close insight in the army, and we lost that instrument.
Yeah, that's a very good point. The defense minister here in Germany, she does not want a return to conscription or compulsory military service. I want you to take a listen to what she said about the elite KSK forces and about the military's ties with civil society that you were mentioning. Take a listen.
We call this a toxic leadership, which has developed and promoted extremist tendencies and an absolutely unacceptable lax approach to material and ammunition. The special forces in particular require a basic trust, not only of their political and military leadership, but also of Parliament as their employer and of society as a whole.
Now, we're hearing the defense minister there. She wants a new type of service to be introduced in 2021. I think it's called Your Year for Germany. And the description that has been published is young people who decide to do the service will receive 6 months of basic military training and then be called up for reserve service for 6 months closer to home. Is that a good idea?
I think that's a step. We are talking since some years about a service year for the nation. So you could choose going to the army, doing other things, going abroad, helping other countries, helping other people. So I think we're talking about in Germany right now about a service year for everybody, men and women in that young age, for the country. And I think that's a good decision, giving 1 year something back to the society, to the people, and not just thinking about their own career.
Well, I mean, you're a member of the reserves. What do you hear from your fellow reservists? I mean, do they agree that a return to compulsory military service would be good for the military as a whole?
I think the majority does. And if you see opinion polls in society, more than 50% thinks going back to compulsory military service is a good way. But right now, I think we're having a change in reserve in Germany. In the future, I think 1/3 of the army will relying on reserve. I think 120,000 reservists will build one pillar of the German army in the future. So we're thinking how to get these reservists well trained in the future. And I think what our minister announced right now, is one way to get in these new reservists.
Mr. Sensburg, what is your impression about the presence of far-right extremism in the military? Has it always been part of the military and we're just seeing it more now, or has it entered the military because the military is now a volunteer military?
I think we have it in the military. We have some people in the police also, but these are single issues. We don't have a structural problem in the army or in our police. So I think we have to look very close that these people get out of army. They have no place in our army, no place in our police units. But in the end, if we have compulsory military service, we would have a closer insight of society in the army. We in Germany have an army that is controlled by the parliament and has always a huge linkage to the people, to the society. And I think that's important also for the soldiers to have this backing of the people.
Yeah, it's a good point to make. And I have a feeling we'll be talking about this many more times in the future. Patrick Sensburg, as always, Mr. Sensburg, we appreciate your time and your insights. Thank you.
Thank you.